There are two very different types of business owners. Since the first man doing $5,000 to $10,000 per month still feels like he's not important enough for buyers to come to him, he feels like his only option is to go scrape a fat list of leads in the pursuit of spraying and praying his market with outreach through Instagram, Gmail, and LinkedIn, and this is usually matched with a desperate follow-up sequence paired with an appointment setting system in the attempt to squeeze just enough pain out of the replies to get a couple of leads who don't even like him onto a call. The second man, on the other hand, is still doing $5,000 to $10,000 per month, but instead of enabling that belief that cold outreach is the only way to get clients without a bunch of startup capital or a huge following, he understands that we're entering a new era, and he decides to take a full look at the board, at all the options, understand how his top competitors actually systemize their fulfillment, and move their way up the ladder from using the selective exposure approach. And he shifts the board in his favor to predictably close clients who actually want to pay him without throwing all of his capital into an ad campaign, becoming an overnight viral sensation, or begging his current clients for referrals. Now, when you're doing basic cold outreach like everyone else, you're gonna have a minimal response rate because no one wants to talk to you. But when you use it with the selective exposure approach, just because your authority is better, your qualification rate is gonna be much higher because those high quality leads are gonna wanna speak to a high quality business owner. Your show rate will increase. It's barely ever good with cold outreach. Your close rate's always low because people don't even wanna hop on the calls. Whereas our close rate is so much higher simply because all the people who hop on the calls, we can do outreach to them and they know that they wanna buy from us just from seeing us. And the sales cycle is so much worse when you're doing basic cold outreach, basic content, all this stuff. And our sales cycle is much shorter than yours. Now I know you'd rather take the path of the second business owner using the selective exposure approach. This is the only way that I generated multiple six figures online at 19 years old. And the only reason why you aren't right now is because one, maybe your fulfillment isn't systemized enough to even have the time to learn how to streamline acquisition, which we'll go into in a minute. Maybe you don't even know what the selective exposure approach is or how it's done and simply have the limiting beliefs like this guy up here surrounding the approach like, oh, I don't have the network, I don't have the capital, I don't have the following, whatever BS you're training yourself to believe, when in reality, literal kids at zero like me, a normal kid from Georgia, USA with all these country people around me with acne on my face, are ranking #1 on WAP, are closing massive deals like this, getting subscriptions at multiple thousands, getting huge wires just like this, and again, are doing $9,800 a day just on WAP. We just simply chose to take this selective exposure approach. And we're just destroying our competition who are using commoditized acquisition systems, like running massive paid ads and they have a super high cost per acquisition. They're doing cold outreach with like no authority, getting no responses. They're posting content at a large scale with no proven system and no one watches their videos because they're boring and gay, and getting no referrals because they're not predictable when it comes to getting people results. And all of this will be left behind in this new era of business that all of us are entering. This is actually my good buddy, well, technically client Liam, who's 16 and making $70,000 a month with his agency. But we'll get into how he did that in a minute because it is imperative to give a huge warning. This approach is not gonna make you a millionaire overnight. It's not quick and it's not necessarily easy, but it is the only way to build a long-term sustainable $100,000 per month business with consistently monthly recurring revenue. If this is not what you're looking for, just leave. This is not for you. This video is for real guys who actually want to join the group of all of my top level friends who are making over $100,000 per month purely online, and not another Miami high-rise info guru who's doing between 20 and 40K a month and spending majority of his rent on a Urus. If you're still here, in this short video, I'm going to hold your hand in implementing the selective exposure model completely free into your business. So there's 3 reasons that this approach works so well in the new era of online business. It doesn't require any prerequisites, so like no previous following, you don't need a huge stack of capital, just a real solution to people's problems. Because the truth is, people right now that work less than you and are dumber than you, but they make more than you because they understand the selective exposure approach. And this approach massively decommoditizes your product or service, since this method raises your offer's perceived value by 10x, and it places you in a whole new unsaturated acquisition game. The reason for that being because of your competition's self-limiting beliefs about their product or service. Since I assume you're joining us in overcoming these limiting beliefs, you get the pleasure of getting in early on this, before everyone realizes the actual power of this approach. So Max, what even is this approach, and how in the world can it bring you to $100,000 per month but still be a beginner-friendly solution? Well, to understand the core of this answer, you need to hear my deadly story of how I failed to break my first $10,000 month in the first 2.5 years of online business because I was bouncing from all the same beginner-friendly acquisition funnels that you've probably had, and I've tried everything, but this is by far what worked for me. Everyone knows all the forms of acquisition, right? Paid ads, content, cold outreach, referrals, all this stuff. Well, when I was first starting out, I started doing paid ads, just like everyone else. I was a naive kid, and I thought that I could just hop on Instagram, draw a beautiful Instagram logo, and start running ads. Well, at the time, I was actually 15 years old. And if you don't know, Facebook only lets you run ads if you are above 16. So me, being the person that I am, used a different ID to start running ads and eventually got permanently identity banned on Facebook. Not to mention that my ad campaigns weren't even profitable, they had a high cost per acquisition, and I just wasn't closing clients, so it didn't even matter if the ads were up or not. I was banned forever and they weren't even performing in the first place. Right, when you run ads, they're not super beginner friendly. It costs so much money to acquire a customer. The lead conversion rate is so much lower because these people aren't coming to you with prior knowledge about you. The sales cycle, it's decent, but the good part about it is that you can scale really high with them. Now, after I failed at ads, I started doing cold outreach, just like everyone. But what you have to understand is that when a kid who is 15 years old is doing random outreach to people, saying, "Hi, what do you need?" people don't respond. And even if I had a fantastic outreach message, it still wouldn't work because I didn't have the authority or the frame. So I was getting wonderful responses from millionaires that looked like this. And everyone knows cold outreach is super beginner friendly. It's low cost per acquisition as far as money wise, but the lead conversion rate is so low, it takes forever to convert. And the scalability is pretty good if you know the right systems, but the sales cycle length kills it. And of course, after I failed cold outreach, I started doing content. But keyword, I was doing bad content. I was posting from just anywhere, like a kid who just got out of bed, didn't even make the bed, and started filming with a camera, of course. Not to forget to mention, I wasn't speaking articulately, so I sounded just like this. And I never got views, no one would watch it, and ultimately it just did not work out. It's not super beginner friendly. The customer acquisition cost is really good because it doesn't cost much money to film content. The conversion rate is good if you do it correctly, but so many people, again, keyword is that people are doing content bad. It's pretty scalable, but not insane, and the sales cycle length takes a while. And just like everybody else, try to get referrals from people who didn't even love my service 3 years ago. They didn't love it. It's not super beginner friendly to do that because you have to be providing such a good service. Now, the cost per acquisition is super low, of course, everyone knows that, but it is not super scalable because you never know when you're gonna get a client or when you're not because it's so random. Then I started using the selective exposure approach, which turned high friction leads, which felt like they were getting pushed up a hill and then pushed straight back down, into pay intent leads who are just going straight up the hill and ready to give you cash. And the reason that they were so ready to pay is because of leverage, right? You're getting the most, in this case, money out of doing the least, in this case, time and effort. And with this system, it was allowing me to close 50% of the deals with 25% of the volume, where all of the other methods that I just discussed as far as paid ads, content, cold outreach, referrals, all of this, you'd have to do 100% of the volume and you'd close 10% of the deals. Now, what actually is this method? Max, stop talking about how good it is. Tell us what it is. Selective exposure is when you are the authority and all of these people, no matter who you are, want to give you money because they know exactly what you can do for them. Now, Mo, my client who has 650 followers, by the way, he came to me with 200 followers, is closing $4,000 deals in a single day. And he went from booking 4 calls a month to booking 4 calls a day. We'll pop up a screenshot. So before you can give the excuse that you need a lot of followers, Mo literally has 600 and he's still doing these numbers. Now I know what you're gonna say, right? It's not the right time for me to start posting Instagram content, but if Instagram content is the difference between you having 200 followers and making no money and you still having 200 followers but making $50,000 a month, would you start posting on Instagram? Because I think I would. And if you truly have that as your objection and you just don't wanna post, then you're lazy and you really don't wanna hit your goal that bad. If you think that you don't even have enough case studies to do this, that truly doesn't matter, because if your solution works, if your offer gets results and you know it can, then it doesn't matter. I promise you the case studies will not affect your acquisition. If you think it's going to take too long, you're just wrong. There's a new method on Instagram that allows you to repurpose your content, post it a ton of times, and basically guarantee 10,000 views a day, even if you get minimal views on your videos. And you can start doing that on day one. So that right there is absolutely cap. Oh, I don't have the equipment to start filming. You're an idiot. You have a phone. You're watching this on your phone or laptop right now. You have ChatGPT to help make scripts. Obviously, they won't be that good, which is where we come in, but you don't need the equipment. You have a phone which has a good mic and a good camera, so that's all you need. And finally, I don't have a following one. Now let me bring you guys all the way back up to Mo, who again came to me with 200 followers and is now closing $4,000 deals every day, booking 4 calls every single day, and absolutely crushing it with this same method. And again, he doesn't have many followers. Now I'll get to the good stuff, the selective exposure approach. And this is how you can scale past $30,000 per month in 90 days with 0 followers from Instagram organic. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm gonna show you how to do it. Keep in mind, if your offer isn't actually a no-brainer, or you cannot actually generate a tangible result for someone, this won't work. It doesn't matter what acquisition system you have, your offer will never scale. First off, you need an offer knowledge base. Now, everyone overlooks this, but open Google Docs, get crystal clear on who your offer is for, so you know the psychographics of the person that you're speaking to. Just like I know who I'm speaking to right now, you need to understand what value you offer, the demographics, again, the psychographics, and clearly define your ICP's problem and the clear solution to it. And by the way, I left a template in the description to do this, so go down below the YouTube video, hit the subscribe button, and grab that template. We'll give it to you for free. Number 2, sounds so basic, but create your brand. This is where you build the world that your audience steps into, and here's an IG profile checklist. So you need a really good bio. Again, I help coaches scale with AI and ads. That's super straightforward. It says exactly what my client Nathan does. He says he's a former pastor, agency owner, and sales leader. Very brief. He's the host of a Nathan Newberry show, which means that he has authority, he has his own show, and a call to action right here, which you can do, you don't have to do. But my point is that you have to tell people what you do, your authority, and why you're credible. Next, you need a profile picture that genuinely signals presence. Like my client Joey here, he's speaking at an event. My client Mo here is clearly in a nice place. He's dressed well, he's smiling, he looks approachable, he looks like a good guy. Next, you need 6 to 9 highlights that build trust, authority, and personality. For example, if you go to my account, it's a little blurry. It says start here, client 7, Croatia retreat. $1.8 million in 60 days for my client results. I'm super proud of that. Go click on my Instagram at Max Inhouse, scroll through that because you'll be amazed. Client vids, client 6, client 5, and each number that I have with clients is a story highlight filled with 100 pictures of client results. My client Sevi did this when he was at 60K a month, and it added $47,000 per month to his offer without even changing it, just dialing in his IG presence. He's getting 13 likes, 0 comments, 11 likes, 1 comment, and he's still at $107,000 per month. The third step is that you have to filter payment intent leads through the selective exposure funnel. Now, what does this mean? This is where the leveraged equation that I showed you earlier will come into play. Your IG story is not for everyone. It should be a filter. As you see right here, again, less volume, more deals closed. The game plan is that you post high conversion prompts and content to your profile, so your stories and your posts and your highlights. You will show your results, and then you will speak directly to the pain points, and then you will give a brief or subtle CTA paired with a DM script that qualifies and disqualifies and books meetings. This is literally all that Mo is doing to book 4 calls per day with 600 followers. He's hitting $10,000 weeks right here, as you can see. He doesn't even run ads. He's just using the selective exposure funnel. And for the 10th time, he has 600 followers. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. Fourth step is that you have to play the volume game. Okay, none of the previous steps will work unless you bring it into a high volume system, and remember that volume will negate luck every single time. So your weekly game plan should be to message 150 people who engage, who are not cold, that look like ICP. Okay, so let's do the math in this process. A 35% reply rate on 150 messages to engagers means you're in 50 conversations. Even if 10% book, that's 5 calls booked. If 80% show up, that's 4 calls, 1 to 2 closes if you're 25% closing rate. That's $4,000 to $8,000 cash collected every single day. Then you figure out what you're doing wrong if you're not there, understand your feedback, and then go right back to the input. So every single day, you need to be doing content, you need to be doing a story or a story sequence 2 to 3 times a week, and you need to be doing DMs daily, but not cold, to strategic people. And just to show you, this is how my client Sammy scaled from $10,000 a month to $60,000 per month. She got out of college, went to be a kindergarten teacher, wanted to start a side hustle. I helped her scale it to $60,000 a month. We have a 20-minute case study posted on this YouTube channel. We'll link it in the description so you can see exactly how I helped her get there. And again, she didn't question the process. We taught her how to film the content, how to elevate her perception, how to bring in followers, and she just trusted our proven machine. And would you look at that? It worked. She's collected, I think at this point, probably over $800,000 just from digital marketing. But how? How do I know if I'm making the right type of content to drive traffic? How do I apply the filters to my Instagram prompts? And how do I systemize my fulfillment to be able to run this? There's really two ways that you can go. I give all of my information on how to systemize your fulfillment, engineer business driving content. I give literally all of this stuff away for free like I'm doing in this video right now. There are infinite YouTube videos about strategies. I have infinite reels if you go to my Instagram just about how we actually do this. And again, it's completely free to you guys. Please take advantage of it. And this will scale you to $50,000 per month in 90 days. I have no doubt, as long as you implement it, right? I can't hit the gas for you. I can just tell you go straight, left, or right, but you're the person who has to put your foot on the gas and actually do it. After a while of learning, testing, failing, rinse and repeat, make it happen. 100% you have to grind, but it will happen, I promise, because it's happened for me, it's happened for a ton of my clients. So I know that this system works. And I know some of my followers that took this route, but instead of scaling past $50,000 per month in 90 days, it took closer to like 365 days and a couple lessons learned the hard way. I'll pop up some screenshots of followers who closed deals who aren't even my clients, but just texted me that they closed a deal because of my strategies. And the second route is through my company, Stealth. What do we even do? I do one-on-one coaching with every single one of my clients. I don't just sell like a course or anything. I literally am in there 24/7. If you text me, I respond super fast. All my clients know. You can watch it in the case studies. And go watch the case study with Tyler. He just scaled from 12K per month to 72K per month with his agency using the exact same approach. Second, we give you completely built out business infrastructure. Like we literally have insanely detailed SOPs for every single part of business. I think there's like 49 or 50 in there right now, and we're adding to them all the time. We help you develop your offer so that you can command those premium prices. Again, we focus on mastering your content. Every single person that comes, we build a custom AI to write and ideate and script every single piece of your content based off of your story, based off of your offer, which is the same method that I use to post all my content, including this. We will completely redesign your sales process because that is so important. If you're getting leads in the pipeline, they need to be converting, and a lot of people don't do that well. And ultimately work on just developing your personal brand so that you can get to the level of attracting all of these really high quality leads, but at a much larger scale, so you're doing $200,000, $300,000 per month. And I do have a part of my offer where I actually include our lead acquisition AI that will go to your competitors' followers and interact with them to bring them straight to your account. They come from your competitors' paid ads, their content, all that, and bring them straight to your account. So if you want to go with this method, the link to book a call is in the description. Here we're gonna talk about our one-on-one coaching, all the AI softwares that we implement, and ultimately how we've gotten Jared to 60K per month to 160K per month within 90 days. Again, this is a very repeatable system. Jared came to me with, I think, 9,000 followers. Now he's at 160,000. So if this sounds like something you're just curious about, still book a call. I'm happy to talk to you. And every single person who hops on a call with me, I write a custom action plan for completely by hand. So if you have any brain cells and you're doing 5 to 10K per month, you don't know how to scale, book a call. I will help you even for free.